listening to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. Before we get started, make sure you check us out and leave us some feedback on wherever you get your podcast from, as well as Facebook at Range Minded Podcasts and at Instagram at the same handle if you could. Feedback, episode suggestions, it all really does help us out a lot. This is episode 74, where we talk about all those New Year's resolutions we talked about in the re-release that we made on Sunday. Since we're just about 3/4 through the year, it's probably true that we've all forgotten about what we wanted to accomplish this year, but thankfully there's still plenty of time to achieve our goals. As always, thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy episode 74 of Range Minded, the New Year's Resolution Checkup. Hello and welcome to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. My name is Mark Long, and I am joined by...
me, Steve Zimmerman.
There he is.
What is happening?
How's it going?
It's going great, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We've had a heck of a summer and a heck of a year, haven't we?
My goodness, and it's gone by so fast.
It's gone by quite quickly. It's almost too fast to the point where we have to remember that we made New Year's resolutions.
You know, most of the time I try to forget my resolutions, honestly.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you make New Year's resolutions every year?
I'm going to make a resolution to not make resolutions.
Well, then that's one that you... much easier to keep.
It is way easier to keep, and then I've achieved it, right?
And you've already achieved it, and then your year is done. You can do whatever you want.
Set your goals really low so you feel like an overachiever.
That's right. Set the bar low, and you'll achieve it every time.
That's right.
That's one of the things about, really having New Year's resolutions is you want to make realistic goals that are easily achievable. Not necessarily easily achievable, but that are achievable.
But definitely attainable. Yeah.
Attainable goals. Yeah, that's right.
Something you have to reach for, but you can still get.
Exactly. So, that's
BS.
If you may have noticed, I'm glad your positivity is really shining through today. But if you didn't notice, we released a re-release on Sunday. It's a two-parter. That was the old part. This is going to be the new part. But we talked about our New Year's resolutions. That one was from December 30th of 2018, and we did some reminiscing and heard some old voices that we haven't heard in a while either.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed in the podcast. Obviously, Ricky's not part of the podcast anymore, and that's too bad. I mean, I really like Ricky, but things change, people grow and move on. That's just the way it is. But yeah, it's kind of good to hear his voice and hear some of his goals and goals for the store. And
yeah, it's kind of interesting to see, kind of as a milestone where we were and where we are now and how things are still going. I'm just proud that we still got the podcast going. So
heck yeah, we're just gonna go on forever.
Forever.
Oh, forever.
Yeah, and we had our friends Scott and Rolando on, and I as far as I know, they're still active, hanging out over at the shop. So that's a good thing.
So. I hope so.
Hope so too. And Scott's still shooting his Springfield, as far as I know.
Yeah, he'll graduate to the Glock. He sure talked trash on the Glock the whole time.
I think he bought a Glock from Cody, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
I don't know.
Now?
I don't know. I can't confirm or deny, but I think that's the case. So anyway. But one of the things that was notably absent from that episode was you.
Yes.
That was a Steve-free episode. So what we're going to do to start right now is talk about what your New Year's resolutions were.
If I can remember that far back.
And, talk about, kind of do a recap and a check-in to see where, you and I are with our resolutions, maybe if they've changed over the course of the year, because sometimes that happens too, where, at the beginning of the year you want to do something or something sounds really interesting, and then it's like, oh, well, either all this other stuff came up or maybe it's just not that interesting anymore,
Yeah.
So think back long and hard to the beginning of the year, and what did you
go way back all that time?
9 months, yeah. And what did you want to do?
I could have had a baby that long ago.
Oh my God, another one.
Well, I guess I couldn't have really, but my first goal, from what I remember, was to definitely get more firearms training, and defensive training, which has sort of been fulfilled. I didn't really get to spend a lot of time behind the trigger, but I did spend some time with Adam Boyce. So
the one and only.
If that counts for anything. But it's just been a crazy, crazy year since I've spent way less time at the range. You guys may or may not know I spend a lot of time. Well, I spend the majority of my time now doing in the building industry, and it has been hot and heavy, which I can't complain about. It's been really good, but it's just consumed a huge amount of my time to where, even going shopping for gun parts is difficult. Other than I may have bought some parts today. Don't tell my wife.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that happens is life gets in the way, and especially if work gets busy and you got to make money and you got to eat,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't do that if you don't work, and
And honestly, I think we could even fulfill a whole episode or dedicate an episode of how to budget your time and still, get your family time and your work done and training in.
I think that's a good idea.
And maybe we should kind of delve into that. And I think that'd be a good guest episode. Find some good guests to put on there.
Yeah, I think that would be good actually to balance everything together. So we could have the honey badger on again and have her talk about that, because she's one of the busiest people.
A lot of time.
She does. She's a great plate spinner in that regard, and she's one of the busiest people I know.
Yeah, and she achieves it.
She's over and over again. So, but yeah, so I think that was one of the things that we had all talked about too was more education, more training. Just learning more and just getting more into the sport of shooting.
And it's tough, right? Because like I say, life gets in the way. But I think I don't know how you've done on your goals. We can talk about, if you've spent some time, which I already know the answer. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
But it'd be really interesting to get Rolando and Scott back in town and say, hey, do you remember this? How did you do? And see if they were really able to get it.
Man, but, yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, we can jump in with mine because I went and re-listened to that episode that we re-released, and we sounded like such young kids back then.
We were so juvenile.
Yeah, didn't know any better. But no, I really wanted to do a couple of things. I wanted to get involved a lot more into the sport of shooting and really get the training, that I wanted for myself, and I think I achieved most of that. And wanted to be a better steward of the Second Amendment and of shooting sports. I think I did an okay job of that. I think I can always do better in that regard.
Well, I think all of us could do a little bit better with being better stewards. And we've talked about it in the past few episodes, how crazy things are getting, which I think brings to light how much more important it is.
Sure.
To be a little bit more proactive.
Yeah, even if it makes it a little more difficult, I think it's still the juice is worth the squeeze on that one.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I wanted to get better at shooting in general. I think that's kind of how I ended the episode, because a lot of people had some pretty lofty goals, and I was just like, I just want to get better at shooting. That's pretty simple. But I was fortunate enough to take not one pistol class, but 2 pistol classes actually. And if you remember, we did an episode on taking the same class twice.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 2018, I took an intermediate pistol class, and then I took that again this past summer. I think it was late May or early June. So
does that count as taking more than one class?
Well, no, because like in 1 year. And for the record, I didn't fail out of the first one. I passed with flying colors. I just wanted to take it again for research purposes.
Sure.
And it was a great excuse to shoot more. But right after that, I think it was the following week or the week after that, I took the advanced pistol class, which really does step it up. There's a big difference between the intermediate and the advanced, and really helps you kind of see what your skill level is and what you have to work on,
And it gets humbling.
It sure does. Especially because when you draw, you start introducing, faster holster draws, multiple targets, drawing from cover, shooting more rounds per target. It's almost like a lot of the lessons and the techniques that you've learned all come together, and you have to be able to know how to do all of that stuff individually and do it well and do it properly and safely above all. And bring them all together. And that can, that can get exciting.
or worse. Luckily, luckily our instructors have been really cool to where they can teach anybody to any level.
Oh yeah,
and really be able to get everybody involved and not being even insulting to some people that feel like they know more.
Right. And to do it safely and to judge people, people individually by their skill level, and push a little bit, just a little beyond what you're comfortable with to be able to improve, because that's how you have to improve,
Right.
And that it instills a lot of confidence, I think, being able to do that. But like you said, at the same time, it's very humbling, and it really does show you what you have to work on. I think one of the big differences that I learned, at least so far this year, in taking multiple classes and taking classes over again, is to see what you've improved on and what you can do well, and then what you can do better. It really highlights and amplifies what you need to work on more. Does that make sense?
Right. Oh yeah.
So, for example, and I learned that my offhanded shooting is just completely terrible. Any one-handed shooting is worse than two-handed shooting.
Especially if it's your support hand.
Yeah, I can't shoot one-handed to save my life. Which is something I probably need to work on.
Because you might have to save your life with one-handed shooting.
Exactly. It's a good choice of words, huh? Yeah, so that was fun. I also took a basic AR-15 class, and I'm not, unfamiliar to the AR, so it was a good kind of refresher on a lot of things. But one thing I had not really gotten any training on was, tactics and, really proper technique with an AR. I was more kind of self-taught. And, like we've said before, that, 15 minutes or a half an hour one-on-one with an instructor, because we had a smaller class and there were two instructors. It was Leroy and John, and they were able to impart more knowledge in a half an hour with half a dozen people than multiple hours of YouTube can do.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if John was part of that class, because I've been really wanting to take a class from John. I love the AR platform. I think it is a ton of fun. Carbine, I guess, is a better way to put it. The carbine platform is just fun to play.
Oh yeah, it's a whole different world than handgun shooting. You think about it kind of similarly, but it's it's kind of like driving a car versus driving a truck. I guess that's the only way I could put it. You know how to do it, but you have to think tactically and physically how to move a little bit differently, because we had slings and everything attached, and we couldn't do any kind of full sling work or whatever, but just taking it from the low ready up to ready, and flicking on the safety or flicking off the safety and then on the safety, as part of your movement, and those body mechanics we've talked about, really gives you a lot to think about and a lot to work on. It's a lot different than most of the time if you're working handguns.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's good to understand different platforms in case you need to use different platforms. Don't get stuck on one thing. That's why I think it's so much fun too.
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons I have an AK and an AR, is because then you kind of learn how both work, and those are the two most, I think, ubiquitous rifles, or two of the most ubiquitous rifle platforms in the world. So got my bases covered.
Heck yeah. Sorry, sidetrack. I was watching some videos, yesterday or today. I think it was last night. You just talk about how different platforms they are. Well, it was the Taliban, and they were rocking M4s shooting against the U.S.
Really?
So somehow they got a hold of our stuff, and they were using it against us. 5.11 gloves, all sorts of crap. I was like, wow. Kind of frustrated.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so somehow they got a hold of stuff. So yeah, it's not just us that uses them.
Wow, everybody. It's pretty well known that a lot of special forces folks, if they're going to do something very clandestine, they'll actually run AKs.
Oh yeah. Well, SEALs
for multiple
train on
reasons.
Yeah, SEALs train on every platform, is what they say, and I don't know if it's possible to train every platform, but they claim they can jump on pretty much anything and run it. So
that's what we've talked about before. Is it's not necessarily the shooter or the gun; it's the person behind the trigger that really makes the difference.
Well, and luckily those fundamentals pretty much go everywhere.
Yeah, and that's the same thing that I kind of figured in between going from pistol to carbine classes, is that it's about grip and stance and sight alignment and trigger press and breath, and all the basic fundamentals transfer over. It's still shooting. It's just shooting a different platform.
Yep. And they all coincide. Everything comes together.
Yeah, and that really didn't hit home with me until I took all of the classes together and kind of was able to look back on it. And taking all these classes made me feel a lot more confident as a shooter. And even if I haven't been able to shoot as much as I'd like to, I feel like knowing the fundamentals, keeping those in the front of my head, and having that experience in general would help me pick it back up a little bit faster. And improve a little bit more every time I go to the range.
Yeah.
So it was an educational summer, that's for sure, and it was nice to be able to take advantage of that and really see firsthand how great our instructors are at the shop, and how much you can learn. Just spending a summer there.
Yeah, and I was just kind of perusing the website's calendar for the store, and if you've made a resolution 9 months ago that you were going to get more, defensive training, tactical training, or whatever, you need to jump on our website at the very least. When you call the store, go into the store, talk to some of the staff there, but you can jump online if you're like me and sometimes hate talking to people. and there is a vast amount of classes coming up, like a vast amount. Yeah,
there's a ton, and we don't stop, especially, the thing I think maybe you might not know too is that summer kind of is a slower time for a gun shop, at least ours. People go outside more, people travel. That's why I didn't get to shoot as much as I did. I've been all over creation back this summer, traveling and having adventures and stuff like that. But it takes, you got to make time to take those classes. And summer is a time when a lot of people would rather go travel and stuff, which totally cool. I did it. I totally get it. But as we get back into the fall and it gets a little bit colder, things pick back up. So, and I'd say that's something to remember too, just in general, is that, because you're done traveling and you are, hanging out and you want to maybe do something because, the summer's kind of over, a lot of other people do too. So classes can fill up fast, but
super fast. And I think we try to, if we can build another class, we need to have so many students to really make the class worthwhile.
Yeah.
So if there's one that's filling up super quick, I think they'll end up adding another class in there, making it happen.
Yeah.
So, but don't use that as an excuse. Well, I'll sign up later, whatever. Just if you're looking to get education and that was part of your goals this year, the year's not over. You can still get a lot of high quality training. You just got to get there and do it.
Yep. And I remember Jessica talked about, we have, everything from the first shots class where you can kind of take your literally first shots on the range, with instructors, or you can build your AR-15 or, take the basic AR-15 anywhere up to, holster drawing, speed, marksmanship stuff, advanced everything. You can do it all.
Heck yeah. And they're fun. They're not dry, boring classes. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, because you do a fair bit of shooting, so that's pretty cool.
And in a way, it's kind of nice when the classes are small, right? Remember that one class you took where there's only a couple people?
Yeah, there was 3 or 4 people, and so we were able to shoot close to 400 rounds, I think, and get that much more experience in it. So that was fun.
Yeah, that's so good for you.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't get a chance to do yet, and I still have some time in the year, but I wanted to take a first aid kind of medical class, and I wanted to take a shotgun class too. Haven't been able to do those yet, but we still do have some time, and I may have to bug somebody or heaven forbid pay one of our esteemed instructors to do a one-on-one with a shotgun. But I think
that platform is cool. I have never spent any time behind that.
It would be worth it, I think.
There's some. I know some people that have spent some time learning shotgun, and it can be pretty intense.
Yeah, one of my friends actually from back home, he was part of the Boy Scouts, and every summer he would go up and stay at the camp with the scouts and train them on shotguns to shoot clays.
Mm-hmm.
And before I moved to Idaho, he was like, "Yeah, man, let's go out and I'll teach you sometime, and blah blah blah. We'll have you busting some clays." And I'm sad I never took him up on it, but maybe we can do that next. I can do that next summer or something.
Yeah,
So, or maybe even better, have him out here.
That would be way cool. I bet he would enjoy that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. So, but yeah, that's a platform. I have a shotgun, but I've, and I know basically how to operate it, but I know there's some technique behind it that's a little different than a carbine.
And it depends on if you're doing like clays, like you were just talking about, or you're trying to do some defensive work. It's kind of two different animals. I mean,
oh, for sure.
The fundamentals still cross over, but there's some specifics that you need to
the strategies are a little bit different. So, but yeah, so those are the two that I have yet to do. But I feel like I educated myself quite well this year. Those are my two big things: shooting more, and like I said, with the being a good steward of the Second Amendment, I think being part of the podcast obviously helps with that, but. I think we could all stand to get more involved, maybe with our organizations and inform people a little bit more. It's just kind of tough, I think. Yeah,
I think that's one thing I guess I really did this year too. Honestly, not very long ago, as I joined. It was one of the gun rights, national gun rights groups. Now the name eludes me.
I joined an organization, but I don't remember what it is.
I don't even know what they do. Yeah. No, they're actually kind of teamed up with the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. They're all part of the same group. It's just the national conglomerate of all these different states groups.
Sure.
And that's the group that I joined. And it's important. We talk about the NRA and stuff, and I don't want to make this a political thing, but there's obviously, we've talked about in the past, there's some stuff going on at the NRA. So I did kind of join some other groups to try and hopefully utilize my dollar in a different place, in a different way.
Right. And I think that's one of the best things you can do, because there are people whose full-time job it is, to fight for our rights too. And if you can support them, I think that's just as good as, being out there yourself. It's certainly better than getting into a Facebook argument. That's for sure. But
which goes to nothing. I mean, what's that going to do other than maybe get you banned on Facebook?
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, which is, it's unfortunate, but and sometimes it's probably hard not to really get into it with somebody on.
Well, I do it more than once a day.
Well, that's why I let you do it.
Well, thank you. Because I like statistics and that kind of crap. Is that right? I like looking at that crap.
Well, and that's something. I mean, we've talked about it before. Is that people don't necessarily look at that. It's more of an emotional thing when people argue about and talk about firearms and whatnot, and it's. It's not the greatest thing in the world to base your arguments on emotions, and obviously there's a place for those emotions or whatever, but you have to look at the numbers too and the statistics, and we've talked about that multiple times on over several episodes.
Yeah, over and over, kind of like beating a dead horse or singing to the choir or whatever.
Yeah, but my goal with that is at least to arm people with the knowledge or the places to look and to back up our arguments with that.
Yeah. Something else I would encourage, if you haven't this year fulfilled some of your resolutions, and it's something I was actually thinking about today, honestly, was bringing more people into the shooting community, whether that be inviting somebody from work or whatever that's never shot a gun, or some friends that have never done it, or maybe somebody that's kind of apprehensive about firearms, and take them shooting, find a safe place. And that may not even be at the range. It might just be out in the desert where, it's just a small group of you that can really focus on safety and bring somebody else into the shooting community. Because I think that the numbers are kind of dwindling, or they're starting to wane from some of the crap that they hear on TV or whatever. So I think it's important too, if you haven't, bring somebody to shoot, take them somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, the funny thing is people who maybe aren't even necessarily interested in guns. I think you can show them how fun it can be pretty easily. Like when we had my friend Daniel on, and he was he had never shot even a BB gun, I don't think, or maybe had only shot a BB gun, and he was kind of in the middle. I don't think he was averse to guns, but he wasn't, necessarily singing the praises of the Second Amendment or anything. Yeah. But after we put a couple of guns in his hands and shot at some paper, he was hooked, Yeah.
I was thinking, because I said I was thinking about this today. I was I was thinking about jumping on our church has a little Facebook page, right?
Sure.
And so I was thinking about jumping on there and just offering like a free firearm safety class for anybody that wants to.
That'd be great
to take it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it would be received on that Facebook page. So maybe I should just do it and let people say, "Oh my gosh, he's a weirdo. Don't sit next to him at church."
Or you could go the kind of the beat around the bush version of it and say, a friend of mine or somebody I know is interested in hosting hosting a gun safety event. What do you guys think about that?
I think I will just do it and say, "Hey, I'm going to offer a free firearm safety class suitable for all ages," and just let people.
You may as well
mint.
See what happens.
Let it mince on there and see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens. I mean, that's I think that's an admirable thing to do, because you're not talking about necessarily, taking people shooting. It's just, safety and knowledge. And I think that's one of the big things that I've noticed to take away from taking new people shooting or having new people who haven't shot before on the podcast is that, once you arm them with the knowledge of how the firearm works and how to manipulate it safely and, kind of dispel some myths and misconceptions about it, I think they have a better understanding for it, a deeper respect for it, and they're not necessarily not afraid of it.
Yeah. Take that stigma away from it.
Yeah, we've seen that happen firsthand. So there's still plenty of time to do that, for the rest of the year too. So
yeah.
And then, my favorite part about New Year's resolutions is, and actually it kind of helped, was deciding what firearms to buy this year.
Uh-oh. I may have done really well on this particular one.
Well, I figured, because certain things can catch your eye, and, everybody's got, the guns to buy list is N+1. It's whatever you've got plus the next one after that. But
that is more true for me than I think anybody else I know.
I mean, you have what, 7 safes in your house?
No, I lost them all in a boating accident. So
that's right. In the
they don't float very well.
No. You'd think if you turn them like lay them down on the back and open it up, it'd displace enough water like a big ship.
Side up.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. So
because a ship is definitely heavier than a safe,
and it's made of metal,
but it's just not working.
Yeah, well, until next time in the Eastern Idaho Triangle.
Yeah, there's some really weird stuff going on over here.
But I was like, you know what? At the beginning of the year, I'm gonna think about what I want to buy, how much money I want to spend on this stuff, and I was able to make it happen. I got a Walther P38. That was the first on the list because I had wanted one for a few years, and I had realized every time I look these up, they just get a little bit more expensive and a little bit more expensive every time. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to bite the bullet. I'm going to get one, and it's going to be a nice one. And, I've got this little project I want to do with it. And so that happened at the beginning of the year.
That's good.
Yeah, and because it was basically, and if you look this up online, you can see what I'm talking about. But, there was a small run of P38 variants called a P38K, which was basically a short barrel P38. So you imagine a P38, with the long barrel on it. It was cut down basically, and then it was carried by security service and undercover police officers in West Germany and things of that sort. And ever since I saw one, I'm like, man, that's really cool. And I read about a couple people who have kind of made faux P38Ks. So I ended up getting the pistol, and then I got a new slide, and I got a new barrel, and a full complete upper for the pistol. And I gave it to Cody, and I said, hey man, can you turn this into this? Oh yeah, I think I can do that. It'd be kind of a fun project for me or whatever. And so he cut the barrel down. We're still figuring out a way to get a front sight on it because the front sight has to be on the front part of the slide bridge instead of on the barrel itself. Right? Yeah. So he's still figuring that out, and he doesn't have as much time to dedicate to side projects as he used to. So, but I'm waiting patiently. So.
Yeah, because you got your holster.
Because I got my holster from Nick Hoffer and Hoftac Industries, which is fantastic, which I have it pulled up. I know I've said it 3 times now, but it's going to go on the social media tonight.
I bet it will.
So we'll put that on there and get that settled so then everybody can stop complaining. But then the other thing I wanted was And I don't know. Well, I wanted a CZ, like a CZ75 variant of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure whether that was going to be, a CZ75 itself or, any of the
Shadow or any of those other ones.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I ended up on landing on a Jericho 941,
which was close.
It's a clone-ish, yeah. It's the same kind of operation, and I don't know why I ended up on that, but I thought once I saw one, I was like, man, that thing's pretty cool. And it's not as expensive as a CZ, depending on what kind of variant you get, and it's big in steel. It's got a hammer, and
it is steel. I was going to ask if it's steel or.
Yep, it was my first all steel pistol. It's my first. Well, actually, no, it'd be my second hammer fired. Nope, third, fourth. Not my first hammer fired pistol, but my first all steel pistol, full size, and that thing is a blast to shoot.
Because I know they make the Jericho in polymer.
Yeah, so there's the polymer version, and then there's
must have been a little older, huh?
No, they still make the all metal ones. Believe it or not, it was a brand new gun. Bought it brand new.
See, I should know things, but I don't.
That's okay. That's what we're here together as a team. So, but yeah, I was able to pick that up and have enjoyed that and enjoyed shooting the Walther as well. So those have been my two big pickups. I don't think I've gotten anything else since then. I might have bought a few accessories, maybe a red dot. Maybe not even. I've been pretty good this year.
Yeah, I've been pretty good this year too.
Just a different kind of good.
I've been good at spending money.
So do you even want to go over the list? Or maybe just give us some highlights?
So I know a guy that's been buying or has bought a couple of lower receivers.
Oh, you can never have too many of those.
No. And I guess I'm kind of an AR whore. So I wouldn't say a snob, because I'm not like, oh, I have to have the top of the line. Because I still think there's a lot of quality components that are affordable. Not that I would go like to war and shoot 1 million rounds through it or something, but
sure.
That being said, I do spend a lot of time on Palmetto, and there's a AK Operators Union just did a review on a Palmetto complete rifle. They went 5,000 rounds, no failures, 0 failures.
How many rounds?
5,000.
Wow, that's straight. Impressive.
They just went right through, and if you watch any of their videos, you know that they're not gentle with when they do a review.
No,
like they're throwing them on rocks, they're throwing them through the mud, and yeah,
that's impressive.
So some of these guys that are AR snobs, they hate when you talk about Palmetto because it's not a Daniel or it's not a BCM or and those are great brands. Don't get me wrong, but I can run what's effectively an Anderson component gun and still be just fine. And Anderson makes components for a lot of other manufacturers. Yeah,
that's true.
Anyway, so I like my Palmetto stuff, so I may have spent a few dollars there. It's spent
shockingly easy to do.
Oh, it's wonderful, actually. I may have spent more than a few dollars at the store. Gosh, I hope my wife doesn't listen to this show.
Just tell her not to. She'll listen.
One day she's going to sell the guns with what I told her I paid for them.
And you're going to cry.
No, I found more than one used Glock at the store, and I'm not scared to buy used guns. I think most people don't shoot the guts out of their guns anyway, so finding a gun that might look a little beat up for a great price.
Still plenty of life left in those guns.
Oh, yeah. And you can see, maybe because I've been in the industry longer than, not that I've been in the industry a long time, but I can tell by looking at a gun, tearing it down, looking at it, that it's been neglected or just shot out. And
sure.
And even with a Glock or a Smith & Wesson or a Springfield, components are affordable enough that I'm not scared to get a bargain gun.
Yeah, and it might be just that the barrel's a little bit worn out, or maybe some internals or springs need replacing. It's you might spend $100 or $200 or a couple hundred, but I mean, compared to the savings that you might get for
and a lot of the time it's just cleaning.
Yeah, there's that too.
It looks wore out, but it's really just a filthy gun.
Yeah, people who don't clean their guns or don't lube them up.
Side note, guys, if you're gonna go plan on trading a gun at a store, Clean it, make it look nice because you might get more money out of it. That's just a word of advice, or not, so I can buy them for a cheaper price.
Just sell them to Steve, and then everybody will win.
I'm gonna have my own buyback program.
Maybe we should do an episode on that: how to trade in a gun and how to get the most for your money.
That actually might not be a bad idea either.
That would be a good idea. So
because there's a lot of folks that trade in stuff that's really not junk, and they just don't take care of it. And they could have made a couple extra bucks.
Yeah. And, if you are selling some guns or something like that, or maybe you're, selling some to buy some more, whatever, every dollar counts when you're in that kind of situation. So
and even buying used guns, like we could probably combine that into one episode, looking for a good deal on used guns.
Oh, 100%.
Because you can use that to your advantage. If you're at your favorite shop and there's something that's just kind of neglected, use that to your advantage.
Yeah.
You can actually figure out a pretty good idea of what they paid for the gun, and we as dealers, we got to make a profit too, but there's always a little wiggle room.
Are we going to reveal some secrets on that episode? Is that what you're saying? Some industry secrets?
I don't know. I think there's a way that we could create some savvy shoppers.
I think that would be good. So yeah, let's make that our resolution for the rest of this year. Maybe we can get that out before this year is over.
Probably. And we got some good episodes coming up too. We got some people lined up that I'm kind of excited for.
Yeah, I think it'll be exciting. So, but yeah, so I think that's kind of where I landed on my resolutions. I got everything I wanted so far. I've had a couple of some hankerings to get some other stuff, but I've luckily been able to stave that off a little bit because I'm saving for some other things in my lilife. But
yeah, you got some big things coming up that you need to worry about.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money. So, but that's going well, and it's I got some education, which I was happy about, and that, like we've always said, is worth more than anything else. So I think I at least did a good job of spending more on ammo and education than I did on actual just buying new firearms.
Yeah, which is still fun.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, to me, I've learned to kind of ebbs and flows. Like some years will be, I didn't really hardly buy anything this year, and then then the year before it's like, oh wow, I bought way too much.
Yeah, one of these days I'm actually going to sit down and do the math. I'll probably be shocked.
Oh, I don't think you want to do that.
No, I probably shouldn't really, because then I'll stop buying guns.
I think that's where ignorance is bliss on that one.
I agree.
So what is one thing that you want to try to do before the end of the year then? Firearms goals related, anything?
I have got to get some of that education in that I promised myself I would do. And I really have no excuse, honestly. Like, I have access to the greatest academy, at least in the Northwest. So why am I not taking advantage of it?
Sure. With anything in particular? Carbine, shotgun?
I need to refine my handgun skills, just because I've been so apathetic lately. But I wouldn't mind, I'm always game for carbine or shotgun. Low light. I love low light classes. I think they are a ton of fun to do.
That would be cool. I've never done a low light course. That might be something I have to add to the list, or maybe we can get some people together and do a shotgun class. Yeah,
and I would be totally down for that, because I have lost a few different shotguns.
So you had your.
I might be able to dive down and find where I lost them.
Find out if those safes are waterproof.
Yeah. So that would be a lot of fun, and I would love to learn some shotgun tactics, because even when you mingle in semi-auto to pump, I mean, there's a lot of things to worry about.
A lot of variance there. Yeah, I would. I think it. I don't think the time has passed for this yet this year, but I don't think I'm going to get to it this year. Is that I really would like to shoot a clay or a clay pigeon out of the air. That would be a big achievement for me. Which sounds sad.
Have you never done it?
No, I haven't really gone clay shooting all that much.
Okay.
So I've only really gone once.
We should probably ratify some of that.
Yeah. So we have. Some
I know
time.
there's some good outdoor skeet and clay ranges in the Boise area. Maybe we could just venture out to some of those.
And you know what? That's a great excuse to buy a longer barrel for my Mossberg.
Yeah, I think I told you, my son and I, we went shooting sporting clays I guess it was a couple months ago. and I suck. Like I'm terrible at it.
That's what we talked about, shooting being a perishable skill. We did a whole episode on that.
Yeah, see? And it is perishable.
See?
But it makes me wonder if I should, because I used to have an 870 with a nice long barrel.
Uh-huh.
And so I sold it to get a different shotgun, and maybe I need to go back and get a nice bird gun.
There's an excuse. Maybe that can be like our spring project.
That could still be our end of the year goals, is buying a bird gun.
That could be as well. So maybe just get one last thing before the year is out. I bought myself a Christmas present.
Yeah, I just bought myself some stuff.
So, well, and don't sell yourself too short though, because you spent some time with the glorious Adam Boyce, right?
Yes, that's true.
You took another class with him, because not all, like I said about with taking a medical class, not all education has to be about firearms either. It can be about self defense or medical and so I think you took another class with Adam, right?
Yeah, and I absolutely forgot about that until we start talking about it earlier, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did take some educational training.
So you got some, and some is better than none, and it was a knife class, right?
Yes, one of my faves.
Yeah, and that's the class you've taken multiple times too, right?
And I learned something every time.
See, then there's another testament to taking the classes over and over and over again.
And I forget too much too, so that's maybe I don't learn something new. I just remember something from the previous classes.
Remember something you forgot. So yeah,
which I forget a lot.
If you don't know who we're talking about, just check out Adam Boyce. Search for Adam Boyce on our either our social media or Spartan Mode or on wherever you get your podcasts from. You can find it. Just Range Minded Adam Boyce. Should be able to find both episodes that he's on. He's a great guy, friend of the podcast, and
yeah, I actually shared a class he's got coming up in, I think, Nampa.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I shared it to our Facebook page, so you can jump on there. I think I linked it to his website too, so you can sign up and do it. Don't procrastinate. Do it.
Yep. And that's another thing too, is one thing, if you are like struggling to get some education down, what I did to maintain a semi-regular kind of routine is, look about a month, maybe even 2 months in advance, and just sign up for it. And if you have to pay for it first, maybe put on a credit card or save up a little bit how you can do it, but make sure that you commit to doing it. And if you do it, 2 months in advance or a month in advance, you really don't have an excuse to cancel it. Just put it in your phone so you don't forget. But that's what I did. Was I signed up for like 3 classes 2 months in advance and just got them all out of the way. Got past the hurdle rather of signing up for it, because that's the biggest part is trying to figure out a time to sign up for it. And if your schedule is not open a month, 2 months in advance, maybe even stretch to 3.
Yeah, just set some time aside, commit to yourself, and do it.
Yep, and that's something that I'm very happy with this year with my New Year's resolutions. So, and you still have time.
I do have time.
So
and they have time. We all have time.
We've still got 3 months left, just about. Which is a whole quarter.
A quarter of the year, which makes it sound like a lot more than it really is.
I mean, it'll fly by, and the holidays are coming up, and hey, that might be a good gift for somebody too. Maybe your significant other or somebody that you share the passion for firearms with. You can get a gift of education or take it together.
That's right.
So. But I think that'll wrap it up for New Year's resolutions. Kind of a catch up so far this year. We want to talk about 1 or 2 more things. Actually, one thing that just came up today that we want to talk about.
Literally hot off the presses, like as of while we were recording this podcast, I jumped across some stuff. This is actually off the Second Amendment Daily News. I know. Sometimes we struggle with keeping these not as political, so we're not like alienating some people. Like some people just don't want to hear about politics,
right?
But still like to hear about guns. But this, I think, is incredibly important. This isn't something that we're going to touch on tonight. But so tomorrow, the House is going to hear or be proposing 3 new gun bills, and maybe you guys are already on top of this. Hopefully, you are. But so there's HR 1236. Which is the red flag law, which we know is avoiding due process, and anybody can say this guy's crazy. You need to take his guns away, and you'll lose your guns for a time, if not forever.
Not good.
not good. They're terrible. The second one is HR 1186, which I need to do a little bit more research on this one, but this is a nationwide ammo ban. So I need to dig on here and see exactly what ammunition they're proposing is going to be banned, which I'm guessing is 5.56.
Short barrel rifle ammunition.
Which is the stupidest thing ever. So big deal, right? That
big
could
deal.
really cause a problem with everything.
Yeah.
It's definitely infringing on your Second Amendment rights. And then the third one here, HR 2708, is a lifetime firearm possession ban for misdemeanor crimes. Now, what is a misdemeanor? It could have been something as simple as doing something stupid. Sorry if I can get it out of my mouth. Something stupid as a kid. A misdemeanor. A trespass could be a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So if you're at Walmart, like we talked about that guy that wasn't breaking any laws, but other than store policy, and he was asked to leave, a trespass could be considered a misdemeanor. So you could get screwed out of your gun rights because they're changing, the level of it. And this is insane.
Yeah, there's nothing. I don't think anything's been proposed like that before.
No. So you need to jump on, and you can call the main switchboard at the House, or for the congressman, it's 202-225-3121, or you can jump online and find their direct information, whether it be email or phone call or whatever. If you're concerned about your Second Amendment rights, get on and let them know how crazy this is. This is just bullshit. Sorry. That's just the way it is. And you can bleep that out or not. This is just garbage. And it's a major problem.
Yeah, and these are national bills that are being proposed.
This is not the state of Idaho. This is the United States.
Yeah, so no matter where you are, this could potentially affect you. So,
oh man, bad news, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that we're on top of that and do what you can to make sure that your opinion is heard on that.
Yeah, it's craziness.
So, on a lighter note, though.
Oh yeah, a lighter note. This is actually what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
So, as many of you know, I'm pro staff with Right On Optics, which is an American company. I think they make great optics for a very affordable price. So they just introduced, they call it the X3 Tactics PRD, which is pistol red dot.
Very cool.
It's a red dot for your handgun. It'll fit on top of an AR as well. I think it comes with the Picatinny mount. But it's affordable. Cool. It's $300, which I know some people say, "Oh, that's," but I think for what you're getting, it's a full shielded glass. It's a 3 mil or 3 MOA dot, and it's also got the top battery, the top battery replacement, so you don't have to pull off your optic to change the battery. Which some of the more expensive optics are that way, and you got to worry about it. So is it zeroed again or whatever?
Sure. Yeah, it looks great.
It's I think it's cool. I actually just ordered mine today. Hopefully my wife's not listening. So I'm going to try it out, and we'll do a full-on review of it. It looks like a quality sight. I don't know. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it looks well built, and but if you're interested in it. Yeah.
And like I say, it was just introduced today. If it's something you want, I'm pretty sure my promo code works on it. So it's S Zimmerman. That's it. Capital S, lowercase Zimmerman with one N at the end.
That's all you need. So, you get 15% off site-wide on rightonoptics.com.
Check them out. We do have some at the store. If you're in the Boise area, Meridian area, jump in there. Check them out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with what you see, because I think they're great glass. I've messed with their binoculars a little bit. I have one of the rifle scopes on my AR, and I'm still working on the review for that, so that'll be posted at some point as well.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. So if you want to get a hold of us, check us out, podcast@iishooting.com, or Facebook message us, or DM us on Instagram @rangemindedpodcast, and let us know if maybe you had shared some of the same New Year's resolutions that we had, or something different, and let us know what's going on with you.
Please do, because we'll be happy to help you out in any way.
Exactly. So, but other than that, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Range Minded. Find us online at Range Minded Podcast on Facebook, or send us an email at podcast@iishooting.com. We're always happy to get feedback, episode suggestions, whatever you want to send us, really. And be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and pretty much wherever else you get your podcasts from. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.